What's up everyone, my name is Nash Kassam and I want to welcome you to this video on how you can 10x your revenue without spending a dime on marketing. I am the son of two dentists. Starting in 2010, I was working in their office full time. So I was answering the phone, I was scheduling in patients, I was dealing with unhappy patients, happy patients. I understand how uncomfortable it is to ask for a review or a referral. I've been helping train staff. I've been interviewing with other marketing companies, and I've heard all of the exact same bullshit that you've heard. And in the first year of working with my parents' business, I helped them grow by over $400,000. And since then, in the last few years, we've grown their business by over $5 million. I started working with other dentists in my market, which is Vancouver, Canada, as well as a few others across Canada and North America. And I really have an inside scoop of all of the problems and challenges that you're facing as a business. So what I've decided to do, because there's so much absolute garbage out there, everyone claims to be an expert, people are charging insane amounts of money to consult for you. What I've decided to do is give you all of my tips, all of my secrets, everything I know when it comes to helping dentists grow. I'm gonna give all of that away to you for free. So in this training, as well as in the workbook or additional video training, which you can get after this webinar or after this video, I'm gonna give you what I would normally charge clients tens of thousands of dollars to do for free. You've probably noticed that it's getting tougher to be a dentist, a profitable dentist. Costs are going up, competition is rising, you got corporate practices emerging. You got patients using their cell phone and the internet emerging as a new technology. So it's really challenging to know how to properly navigate through the ever-changing landscape as a dentist. And so this training is going to help all dentists, independent of your size. It doesn't matter whether you're just getting started or whether you're a $5 million business. This training is going to help every single dentist grow. And the reason I'm able to do that is because I'm going to share with you the sequence in which to grow. So as a marketer, I can tell you that the number one thing you can do to grow your business is invest time and money. So focus your efforts on the right sequence in which you market. And so that's really what this training is all about, is it's showing you the exact sequence you need to follow to exponentially grow your business without spending a dime. Okay. So I am so confident in my ability to teach you what I've learned, helping hundreds of dentists, generating hundreds of millions of dollars for my customers, that I am actually going to give you a money back guarantee even though you haven't spent any money. So I know it sounds a bit crazy. I think I might be a little bit crazy, but I'm just really confident that if you actually follow my program and do the exercises I give you, that I'm gonna provide an insane amount of value for you. So I've created what I call the 100 by 10 money back guarantee, which is if I don't give you at least $100,000 worth of value in the first 6 months of completing this training, I will personally give you $10,000 of services from my company for free. So you invest nothing and you could get $10,000 back in services if you don't see $100,000 worth of value. So I'm super confident that if you follow my steps, you're gonna see a tremendous improvement in your business. So you're probably thinking this sounds way too good to be true, like there's gotta be some kind of catch. And you're absolutely right. There's two things that you should be knowledgeable about when it comes to the catch. The first thing is that maybe 1 or 2% of you will fall into my ideal customer, and I might reach out to you if I think that's the case to set up a meeting to see if I can help you. Where my expertise or where I charge businesses for money outside of this free consulting is offering web design, SEO, and digital marketing services. Now, I'm not suggesting that every business do this. That is so far from how it should be. And I'm only suggesting that you consider this once you complete this training. So right now, I'm not trying to sell you anything, but there's a chance that a few of you are good candidates for my business. My business, my customers pay me hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of several years for me to help them grow. and I put in full digital marketing and online marketing systems in place so that businesses can grow just like my parents. Like my parents have seen about $5 million in the last 4 years. I have about 10 to 15 other kind of ideal customers, and they're all spending, usually between $3,000 and $5,000 a month on marketing with me. And if you are one of those customers where I think I can show you at least a $46 to 1 return on investment, because that's my current average return on investment. So if I think I can show you a better than average return on investment, I might reach out to you and see if we make sense to be partners. So that's catch number 1. Catch number 2 is I've been looking at working with some of the bigger corporate dental practices when it comes to buying out practices. Now, once you complete my training, your practice will already be worth probably a few $100,000 to $1 million more than what it's currently worth. So if you're going to get, let's say, a 4x on your net earnings, you might get a 5x. I might help you get that to that one extra step. But here's the fun thing. If we were to take 100 dental clinics that were all run and managed very well, and then package them into a deal to sell to a VC company, then the multiple, instead of being 3 or 4 times your free cash flow, would spike up to 10, and I would get paid for the finder's fee. So one of the things I'm trying to do is create this large group, or have access to a large group of well-run dental clinics, so that when I approach venture capitalists, we can bundle clinics who want to exit for 10 times their free cash flow, and sell for a significantly higher portion. And at that time, I will make hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, for every clinic that gets sold. So yes, I do have an ulterior motive here, which is to make a buttload of money, which is exactly what I want you to do. And the way I'm doing that is giving you all of the access to my information for free, and then helping you scale when the timing is right. So as you can see, there's a couple reasons why I'd want to give away all of my information for free to help you grow. Like, I'm going to benefit from it too. So what I want you to do is I want you to invest probably somewhere between an hour for this upcoming video, where I'm going to switch over to the screen capture and I'm going to walk you through my process. And then I want you to, if you're happy with what I do and if you think I can help you grow your business, which you will, I want you to put in your, fill out the form, put in your name, your website URL, give me a little bit more information about your business, and I'll send you over the workbook and possibly some additional training resources, and put another 8 to 10 hours into that over the course of the next few weeks. And I promise you, you will grow your business by about $100,000 at least in the first 6 months. If you don't, hit me back up. I'll give you a $10,000 money back guarantee. And when you succeed, all I'm asking for is that you make a donation to your favorite charity. Let's try to make the world a better place here. So that's all for this, and we'll see you in the screen capture video, which is coming up right now. All right, welcome to the screen share view. In this PowerPoint presentation, what I am going to do is show you what you need to do to 10x your revenue without spending any money on marketing. So this is really more about the sequence in which you need to invest time and money, not necessarily the tactics. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run you through what all of the different things you need to do are and the order in which you need to do them. And then I'm going to show you why that's the case. And then at the end of this presentation, if you agree with my philosophy and like what I have to say, I want you to enter in your name and website URL and all of that good stuff. And I'm going to email you a workbook and any additional training. So this is what you need to do, and you need to fill out the form and give me your email for the how to do this. So let's just jump right into it. This is what I call my framework for any dentist to achieve financial freedom. So you can see right off the bat, we have this 9-step process broken down into 3 different steps: the dedicate step, the funnel optimization step, and the predictable growth step. So you have to start down at the bottom here, and you have to go through the process to get to financial freedom. If you skip steps or if you half-ass the steps, you're just not going to see the same results. So let's jump right into mindset, because that's one of the most important things. So in my welcome video, you probably already heard me talk about some of the problems, but let's just quickly review them. You have an increase of supply of dentists. So the number of dentists who are practicing is going to continue to rise comparatively per capita all the way through 2033. So more dentists in the market means more competition. In addition to competition, you also have corporate practices. So now you have these big corporate dental practices who can offer the exact same treatments as you for less money. They also have deals with insurance companies. They also get their equipment for less money. So there's a lot of things that they can do to cut their costs. So they're already at a pretty big advantage compared to you. You also have rising costs. So as you know, wages are going up, rent is going up, marketing costs are going up, technology costs are going up, insurance is going up. All of your expenses are going up. So more competition basically means your profitability or your revenue is going to go down. More expenses means your profitability is going to go down. So it's really, really time to make some changes. You also have picky buyers. So, people who are looking for a dentist want their dentist to accept their insurance plan. They want the dentist to be located near their office or place of residence. They want the dentist to have all of the best technology. They want the pricing to be fair and not have to pay out of pocket. So as competition rises, buyers get to be more picky. So you have to really embrace this new landscape and get ahead of it before it's too late. You really have to focus on making positive changes. And the number one takeaway from this is you have to stop thinking of yourself as a dental practitioner and start thinking of yourself as a dentist business owner. You're a business. So the next step, once you are motivated to make some positive changes, is you have to educate yourself on how or what changes you need to make. Now, a big part of that is what this training is all about, just teaching you how to make the right changes. And a big part of the education is understanding some of the key metrics and things like that. Now, you probably have some frustrations and problems when it comes to seeking out education for growth. For example, you might find that there's too much information and technology overwhelm. You might find that the new growth tactics aren't working and that you're spending too much money on the things you are trying. You probably noticed, if you've talked to a few marketers, that marketers in general care more about making money for themselves than helping you grow. They lock you into a contract, they take their commission, and then they don't care whether you succeed or not. And in my experience, as someone who has actually worked as a manager in a dental office and taken tens, maybe hundreds of meetings with big marketing companies, dental marketing companies, as far as I'm concerned, they're all full of shit. So that's kind of where I come in. This was a picture that was framed in my parents' office. And as you can see, that's me, and I had a toothbrush before I could walk. I have grown up in dental practices. I was filing away patient charts and scheduling in patients when I worked for my parents' first business when I was 6 or 7 years old. I grew up in their office. When I graduated from college, I helped them grow their business, $400,000 the first year. The last 4 years, I've helped them grow by over $5 million. They just bought a second timeshare in Hawaii because of me. In addition to helping my parents, I've helped some of their dentist friends. My average customer sees $46 back for every $1 invested. My job is to help you grow. I've seen what I've been able to do for my family and my close clients, and I really want to help other dentists grow as well. So that's enough about me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you everything for free. In fact, I even have a $100,000 money-back guarantee. So if you don't feel like you get $100,000 worth of value after you complete all the workbooks and additional trainings after this, let me know and I'll actually come work for you for $10,000 worth of service at no charge. So information and tech overwhelm, we're going to get through that by me showing you my proven 9-step process. New growth tactics aren't working for me. We're going to get through that by showing you the sequence in which you want to focus. Marketers care more about making money for themselves than helping me grow. I'm giving you away all of this information for free. Marketers are full of shit. Well, my average customer sees about $46 to 1 ROI, and I'm giving you all of these strategies away for free. So I really have not that much to gain from this. You have everything to gain from this. So just, you got to trust me here, and you got to at the very least, follow, go through this entire video, and if you don't like what you see, never think about me again. So let's talk about what the key things you need to educate yourself on are. Well, if you start thinking like a business, businesses need KPIs, right? So KPIs, key performance indicator, and you as a dentist have to have metrics to care about too. So the things that you're going to learn in the workbook and upcoming training are how to calculate the short-term value of a customer, how to calculate the lifetime value of a customer, how to calculate the acquisition cost of the various marketing tactics you're using, what a sales funnel is, and we're going to go into a little bit more detail, and then how you can focus on sequence when it comes to optimizing your funnel. Now, in the most simple forms, I'm going to do a little bit of education here, but in the most simple forms, your short-term value is just how much money a new patient or an existing patient is going to spend on average in the first year. So let's say the average patient comes in for two cleanings, which is, let's just say, $300, plus let's jack that up to maybe by a couple $100 because a few patients are going to need restorative work or cosmetic work. Let's say that on average the short-term value of a new customer is $500, right? Now, if you do a good job and you provide an awesome experience for your customers, then they're going to stay at your practice for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, right? And so the lifetime value of a new customer is just the average amount of money a customer spends each year multiplied by the number of years they're at your practice. So if a patient comes in for $500 a year for 10 years, then their lifetime value is $5,000. Now in the workbook, I'll actually go into a more complicated formula than that, but in general, it's really, really important for you to know how much a customer is going to spend when they come into your office, and then how much a customer is going to spend over the lifetime of their value at your office, so that you can calculate the acquisition cost. Whoops. So suppose you are investing money in, let's say, Yelp, right? And you spend $1,000 a month and you're able to get 2 new patients from Yelp for $1,000. Basically, your acquisition cost is $1,000 divided by 2, so $500 per customer. So it's really important that you know how to calculate all of these different formulas so that you can determine which marketing efforts are making sense. We're going to go into sales funnel a bit more, but it's really, really important that you understand what a sales funnel is and what your sales funnel conversion rates are. So we're going to go into that into a little bit more detail. And then, of course, it's really important that you understand the sequence in which you want to focus. So these are all some of the metrics that you're going to learn how to calculate in the workbook, and we're going to go through some of these concepts in more detail in this presentation. So now, once you understand short-term value, lifetime value, things of that nature, I cannot stress this enough. It is really, really important to understand who you are as a business and what experience you're trying to create. So a brand is so much more than a logo. So what I want to do is I want to call it more of a patient experience. So little things like knowing what your vision statement are, your mission statement, what your core values are, doing a competitive analysis, so understanding what your competition is, what they have to offer, and then coming up with a positioning strategy, so how you're different from your competitors, really getting to the reason why customers, or prospective customers, should be choosing you versus your competitor. And really what this all comes down to is understanding what's called the customer journey. So what journey does your customer go through when it comes to choosing your business? So here's an example of a customer journey. Maybe maybe a customer finds you on Google, right? And they check out your website, and the website is kind of hit and miss. It's not a great website. It's not a bad website, but not a great website. And let's just say you provide a little bit of information, and just enough information to pique their interest, but not enough information for them to commit to making a decision. So maybe what they do is they call up your office, and let's say they're greeted by like a grumpy receptionist who doesn't really answer their questions, doesn't seem great. Even still, let's say the patient's in pain or something like that, and they decide to come in, and then they come into your office, and your office is kind of old and tacky, and they're sitting in the waiting room for a long time, and then they go into the chair and they realize that you're using kind of outdated equipment, and the treatment was a little bit painful, and then you kind of rushed them during checkout, and you didn't explain how the insurance or the benefits work. Like, what do you think the probability of that patient coming back to your office for more visits are, as well as them writing you a positive review and referring their friends? It's probably not as high as it should be. So really what you got to do is you got to craft a perfect patient experience if your strategy is to provide a high quality treatment. Now, if your strategy is just to be a low cost provider, you might try to cut all of your costs and offer a relatively crappy experience, but relative to the price, it might be perceived as good value. So with the emergence of corporate practices, I cannot stress the importance of not having a low-cost strategy. If you're trying to have a low-cost strategy, you are in for a treat. I would strongly encourage you to think about changing up your brand and patient experience to be more of a high-end, high-end product offering. And then, of course, you want to make sure you're in the right market. So you can't have an overly high-end brand or product if you're in the projects of a city or something like that. So just make sure there's good product market fit. But for most of you watching this, you're probably in a major city or just outside a major city where there's a reasonable amount of wealth, and crafting an awesome patient experience and journey shouldn't be too hard. So and again, a lot of this stuff is in the workbook on how to do it. What I'm focused on in this presentation is just explaining to you what the correct sequence is. So once you're motivated, once you know what to do, once you have an amazing experience in place, then it's time to start understanding more about what a sales funnel is. So a sales funnel is basically understanding how prospective patients flow through the sales process and end up becoming either new patients or like lifetime patients, as well as ambassadors, so people who refer. In the most simplest form, let's just use an example. Suppose you're spending $2,500 a month on marketing. Okay, let's just say it's Google AdWords. And let's say with $2,500, you're able to get what's called 1,000 impressions. So let's say 1,000 people see your ad, right? And then of the 1,000 people who see your ad, let's say 100 people click on your website. Now, of the 100 people who click on your website, let's say 30 are interested and check out your reviews and ratings or other resources online, maybe Instagram or something like that. And let's say you have 30 people who are kind of interested, and out of that 30 people, let's say 20 of them contact your office. Now, suppose your receptionist is on double duty, or they're overworking, or they're on lunch break, and they don't answer all of the calls or all of the emails in a timely manner. Let's say 10 of those leads either turn into a consultation, which could be either a phone consultation or an actual consultation. And of those 10 people who have a consultation, let's say you get 5 new patients, right? So with $2,500, you're able to get 5 new patients based on what I'm going to call a sample marketing funnel. So that's a 5% of the people who get to your websites, 5% of those become new patients. Now, it's really, really important to note that no matter what your current sales funnel is, it's probably going to get worse over time as the supply of dentists, as the supply of dentists go up, as corporate practices start to emerge, as buyers become more picky, and as your costs increase. So, for example, just with increasing costs, with Google AdWords, for example, it's a bidding system. So as more and more dentists emerge, more and more dentists will be competing or bidding on these clicks, and your cost per click, or what you can buy a click for now, is going to be significantly cheaper than how much it costs clicks in, let's say, 5 years from now. So no matter what your funnel is right now, if you keep it the exact same without working on it, without focusing on it, without measuring the different components of it, over time, it's going to get worse. So while $2,500 a month in this example might make sense, in 2 years from now, 5 years from now, $2,500 might only get you 1 or 2 new patients. So it's really, really important that you have the right strategy and the right training and the right systems in place to make sure you're set up for success in the future, especially as competition and costs continue to rise. So in that example, let's look at some of the key metrics. So we'll actually go back. You spent $2,500. You're able to get 100 clicks and 5 new patients. So 20 leads, 5 new patients. So the short-term value, let's suppose, is $500. So let's say on average, a new patient will spend $500 in the first year. Let's say on average, a patient will visit your clinic or your practice for 10 years. So the lifetime value is $500 times 10 years, so $5,000. Now, if we spent $2,500 to get 5 new patients, our acquisition cost is $500, right? 2,500 divided by 5. Now, that works out to 5% of your sales funnel. So 100 clicks was able to get you 5 new customers. So that's a 5% sales funnel conversion. And in the example, we said that $2,500 got you 100 clicks, which basically made your effective cost per click $25. Now, that's high for most markets, but depending on the type of marketing you're doing, that's probably a reasonable cost per click. If you're, maybe for Yelp, or for if you're working with a bad digital marketing company, certainly if you're doing radio, TV, or any brand awareness advertising, the cost to get just one person to your website in most of the things you are doing will probably be more than $25 if you're paying actual money. Now, once you understand what a sales funnel is, you need to make sure that you have the right systems in place to measure all of the different stages of the sales funnel. How can you optimize your sales funnel if you don't have a measurement for the various phases? So we measure clicks to your website with Google Analytics. We can measure the number of reviews you have with Google My Business, or what used to be Google Maps. Now, this is where it gets really important. You have to measure the number of leads, the number of consults, and the number of new patients internally. So one of the things you're going to get with my workbook and my additional material is my Excel spreadsheet for tracking leads. One of the most important things you can do as a business owner is track how many leads you're getting, from which referral sources, as well as what the conversion rate is of those leads into new patients. So for example, let's say I make you a website and we drive traffic to that website with Google AdWords, and let's say I'm able to get you 35 leads. So 35 people call or email the office. If you only have 5 new patients from 35 leads, it means that the bottleneck is happening within your office. It means your receptionist either isn't picking up the phone, they're not responding to messages quick enough, they're not responding to emails quick enough. But without a doubt, if I'm delivering you, or if someone's delivering you 35 qualified leads, you need to make sure that you have at least a 50% conversion rate from leads to consults and then consults to new patients. Really, it should be higher than that, depending on what types of patients these are, whether they're cosmetic, restorative. But if these are just general patients, you should be able to convert at least 50% of your leads into new patients. So once you put the systems in place, and again, a lot of this stuff comes after this video. I'm going to show you how to do it in the workbook. But once you have the right systems in place, you can measure what your actual percentages are, and then you can optimize those. So let's talk a little bit about internal marketing. So in order to improve what you want to do is you want to improve the various stages of your sales funnel, and you want to start from the bottom of your funnel and work your way up. Okay? So one of the things you're going to want to do is establish a review and referral strategy so that when a patient leaves your office, that there's a high probability that they refer their friend and write you a review. So that's the first thing you're going to want to do. Once that's done, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to work on your phone languaging and staff training. So you're going to want to make sure once you provide an amazing dental experience that you're able to get more of the people who contact your office in through the doors to experience that. And so really when it comes to consults and leads, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to train your staff. Now, I'm going to give you some of those resources, but really the main thing you need to do is get an understanding for why someone isn't booking in or is not getting booked in if they contact the office. Now, 80% of the time, the reason someone doesn't book in is either because the phone call was missed, or because the staff didn't follow up with a lead in a timely manner. So if you can just fix those two things, then you're going to be in great shape. Once you have your training, once you have your phone systems and your phone protocols and staff training in place, you're going to want to make sure that you have lots of reviews, so that's part of the post-purchase evaluation, as well as you're going to want to make sure you improve your website for conversions. So those are all of the different things that need to get optimized. So what I want to show you is what happens if you improve each stage of the sales funnel by only 10%. Okay, so this is compared to that last example, but out of 100 clicks, instead of getting 30 people to be interested in us, suppose we're able to get 40 people interested in us. And instead of generating 66% of interest into leads, suppose we can generate 76% of those. So if we can go from 20 to 30 leads, that's going to make a huge difference. Now, if we train our staff well, and if we're able to pick up the phone and convert more leads into consults, we can go to 18 consults, right? And then if you train your staff properly and you're able to convert more into new patients, you can get to 11 new patients. So we jumped from 5 new patients to 11 new patients just by improving our sales funnel. So let's take a look at what that look like side by side. 100 clicks, 30 prospects, 20 leads, 10 consults, 5 new patients. Okay, so we were able to get 5 new patients with $2,500. If the average short-term value of a new patient is $500 like we chose in that example, your short-term ROI is going to be $0. So you're spending $2,500 to make $2,500, and then your lifetime ROI, if the lifetime value is $5,000, $500 times 10 year, then your lifetime ROI is going to be $10 to 1. Okay? But if we optimize the funnel and we improve everything just by 10%, so not that much, instead of getting 30 prospects, we're going to get 40 prospects. And then instead of getting 20 leads, we're going to get 30 leads. Instead of getting 10 consults, we're going to get 18 consults. And instead of getting 5 new patients, we're going to get 11 new patients. Now, if we do a really good job and we actually have a referral program in place, we might even be able to get 1 new patient from referral. So instead of 11 new patients, we're going to get 12 new patients. And that's just if 1 out of 10 patients refers you a friend. Now, if we're able to get 12 new patients with the same $2,500, we're now making money in the short term, and we're making even more money in the lifetime. And so that was just by optimizing a funnel by 10% in each stage. We're going to do more than double the lifetime return on investment. Now, if you focus on my sequence and you do things in the correct order, so you have a proper strategy in place, you have an amazing brand and experience, you have all the right tracking in place, you have all the right training in place, the average value of a new patient is going to go up quite a bit. So for example, if for just a quick example, if we can get every single patient to refer one of their friends, all of a sudden, instead of generating $5,000 for every patient, we'll be generating $10,000 from every patient. If we're able to get the average short-term spend up from $500 to $750, you can see how that would have a drastic impact on your business. Now, in my experience, I've worked with hundreds of dental clinics in the form of consulting, marketing, advertising, whatever you want to call it. I can safely say that the average dental office is tracking about $10,000 as their lifetime value. So one of the things I want you to calculate in the workbook after this presentation is what the lifetime value of a new customer is. But if we can get your lifetime value up to, between $10,000 and $20,000 just by doing a better job crafting a perfect dental experience and then generating more referrals, you can see that 12 new patients multiplied by $15,000 of eventual lifetime revenue, that's going to work out to $180,000 of future revenue, which spikes the lifetime ROI to $72 to $1 invested. So just by crafting an amazing dental experience and then implementing the right internal marketing and tracking, you should be able to increase your lifetime revenue quite substantially. And I'm going to show you how to do all of these things in the workbook, which is the next step after this presentation. So once you have a well-oiled machine, that is what a well-oiled machine is. It's having the dedication to think like a business instead of like a dental practice, understanding what the key metrics you need to improve are, crafting an amazing customer journey, customer experience, understanding what a sales funnel is, as well as implementing systems to track all of the stages in the sales funnel, and then finally optimizing your internal marketing to increase the lifetime value of a new customer. Once you have a well-oiled ship, you will be making quite a bit more money without spending a dime. You might spend a couple $100 on a month on like technology and software, that's up to you. But what I just showed you was how you can drastically increase your revenue without spending a dime on marketing. I'm going to show you how to do that in the workbook. All I want you to kind of get at with this presentation is that it's very, very possible. Now, once you have a well-oiled machine, it's time to really think about how you can kind of add some fuel to the fire. Now, in my experience, the best way to do that is by driving targeted traffic to a conversion-focused website. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to look at the marketing landscape. So the marketing landscape is basically what are the different options I have out there to get my message across. Now, my philosophy is that the number one way to grow a dental practice is through referrals and reviews. So you should have already taken care of that in your internal marketing optimization, which was step 6 of the process. Once you are maximizing your impact with referrals and reviews, the next thing you're going to want to do, like we discussed, is you're going to want to invest time and money into training your staff so that they can handle leads effectively. Once that is done, you're going to want to look at how many people are actually searching for your keywords. So you can use a tool called Google AdWords, and what you're going to want to do is search for the keyword volume in your city. And if you live in a really big city, you might even want to look at it in your zip code and the surrounding zip codes. But what we want to see is, are people who might come to you as a dentist searching for a dentist online? If you live in any major city, there's a very, very good chance that there's quite a bit of search volume. If there is enough keyword volume, so at least 1,000 people searching a variety of different keywords, you're going to want to come up with a budget. So the budget should always be around 5% of your revenue. So if you're billing $1 million a year, you want to be spending at least $50,000 on your marketing every year. once you kind of have set your budget, what you're going to want to do is just kind of get an indication of where you currently rank on Google for the most relevant keywords. So the trick with SEO is to make sure you pick keywords that people are actually searching. The number one reason most dentists are unhappy with their SEO is because they trust the company they work with, and the company chooses really shitty keywords. So keywords where no one is searching for them, so that even when they get to number one spot on Google, it doesn't actually translate into any clicks or any new business. So what you really want to do is see where you rank for the most competitive, what I call high value, high volume keywords. Based on your rankings and based on what's called cost per click, so how much people are bidding on Google AdWords, which is the pay-per-click style of marketing, you're going to want to come up with a strategy using some kind of combination of AdWords and SEO. So this is what we call predictable growth. If you know what your sales funnel, how your sales funnel converts, then it's really about adding fuel to the fire. So once you have a working sales funnel and a proper marketing strategy, growth should be predictable. You should be able to predict, if I get 100 clicks, I'm able to get 10 new patients, which means if you can get 200 targeted clicks, you can get 20 new patients, right? So it's all about predictable growth. And so what's really important here is that you implement all of the different tracking systems and tracking processes in place so that you can measure all of the different steps in the sales funnel in order to make your growth predictable. And then it really comes down to pouring gasoline on the fire. So in the past example, with a very optimized sales funnel and process, we showed you how $2,500 of AdWords would generate 12 new patients, and the lifetime return on investment would be $72 to 1 if the average lifetime value of a new patient is $15,000. Now, if we were to get 12 new patients a month and multiply that by 12 months in a year, we would get 144 new patients, and that's not even including the value of referrals and reviews. And so we're assuming a cost per click of $25, when in actuality, in most markets, you can buy clicks for between $5 and $15. So this is a very, very conservative estimate as to the return on investment. Okay, but in a optimized sales funnel, in this example, you're gonna see about $72 to 1. Now, suppose we change our marketing strategy by adding to our budget, and we go for a $2,500 AdWords strategy and a $2,500 SEO strategy, so search engine optimization strategy. You can see with the SEO after a year, we're going to be able to get an extra 200 clicks. So we're getting 200 clicks with $2,500. So that's double what we're able to get here. And then of course we still have the $2,500 in this example. So with $5,000, we're going to be able to get 300 clicks. So we're going to be able to double the efforts with SEO. That would translate into 36 new patients, and that would put your acquisition costs at $139 compared to $208. So you can see how doubling your investment has a magnifying effect when you stack your strategies properly. What that's going to do is it's going to change your short-term investment to 3.6 to 1, and that's going to give you a lifetime ROI of 108. And so really, I know this example is a little bit confusing, but you can see that by investing the proper amount of money on both AdWords and SEO, you're going to get like a compounding effect when it comes to return on investment. Now, 36 new patients times 12 months, that's about 432 new patients in the year, and that's not even including referrals and reviews. Now, if you have 432 new patients coming through your office for the next 10 years, what do you think that's going to do when it comes to selling your practice? If you have an extra 4,000 active patients in your database, imagine how much more you're going to be able to charge for goodwill when it comes to selling your practice. I cannot stress the importance of thinking of your exit strategy now, so that you actually invest properly and actively pursue that exit strategy properly. If you just sit back and do nothing, your exit strategy isn't going to be very good, because there's going to be a boatload of dentists, especially baby boomers. They're going to be all retiring a little bit later. Right now, the average age of retirement as of 2013 is 68.3, I believe. And as you can see with how things are going, that's only going to go up. So you're going to get all of these baby boomers putting up their office for sale at the same time. And as you can imagine, as the inventory of practices for sale goes up, the price goes down. This is just basic economics. So it's really, really important that you start thinking about your exit strategy now, and you start implementing systems and marketing strategies to effectively grow and exit. Again, if you add a few hundred patients every year for the next 10 years to your active patient database, you're going to be able to sell your practice for a lot more than if you just kind of skate by and don't really have a proper strategy in place. So these are the biggest mistakes I see, and I've probably spoken to well over 5,000, 10,000 practice owners. The number one mistake I see is I see people spending money at the top of the funnel instead of the bottom. So a lot of the times dentists will spend money on SEO, on AdWords, on Yelp, on newspaper advertising, on mailers, on all of the things that get people to the top of the funnel. But if you don't have a website built for conversion, if you don't have reviews, if you don't have your staff trained properly, and if you don't have a awesome product and experience, it doesn't matter how much money you spend getting people to the top of the funnel, they're not going to flow through to the bottom. So one of the biggest mistakes I see is dentists basically spending money in the wrong sequence. And that's one of the main reasons I made this free training, is because I want you to focus on implementing or investing time and money on the right activities in the right order. Another thing I see is owners. This one's always funny to me. I always ask businesses what makes them different, and more often than not, a dentist owner will tell me that their skill set is what makes them different. But it's funny, if I talk to 100 dentists in LA and 90 of them say that they're the best and the most skilled, well, 89 of those people are lying, right? So if you think your competitive advantage is your skill set, you're 100% wrong. Every single dentist has 5-star reviews. Every single dentist has awesome equipment. Every single dentist accepts insurance. You really have to start thinking about how you can position yourself to be different from your competitors, and how we can kind of magnify those differences to find the right patients. Another thing I commonly see as a mistake is owners diversify their marketing across many different channels. I see a lot of dentists tell me that they're spending $500 on SEO, $500 on AdWords, $500 on newspaper advertising, $500 on Yelp advertising. But the problem is, if you spend your money across too many different marketing channels, you're going to get really, really thin results. I would much rather see you take 5% of your revenue and have a very strategic, both short-term and immediate success strategy, as well as long-term growth strategy, and just implement 2 or 3 at most marketing tactics that you know work. And then I always say use 80% of your marketing budget on what works, and if you want to try 20% of your budget on something new, give it something new, but make sure you have all of the right tracking in place to measure the return on investment. I see way too many dentists trying new things, spending all this money, and it not working. So only allocate a maximum of 20% of your marketing budget to new tactics or things that you might not be sure work. But we're all about predictable growth. That's why the sales funnel is really, really important, and being able to track and measure everything is really, really important. And that leads me to point number 4. Another big mistake I see is owners don't properly track both the short-term and lifetime ROI. So I see a lot of dentists tell me that they wouldn't spend $500 to get a new patient through the door, but they don't even realize that they offer such an awesome product or service, and their patients are referring them business, that the average value of a new patient is $25,000. if you're going to make $25,000 over the course of 10 to 15 years by spending $500 now, you 100% should spend that $500 now. So it's really, really important that you track both the short-term and the lifetime ROI of a new customer so that you can determine what the target acquisition cost per new customer is. As a general rule, you want your short-term revenue to exceed the acquisition cost, meaning if you get a customer through the door for $250, you want to make sure they're spending $300. You want a positive short-term return on investment, and then you want your lifetime investment to be at least 10 times the acquisition cost. So if you're spending $500 to get a patient through the door, you want to make sure that that patient is going to generate at least $5,000 of future revenue. That works out to 10%. That's the minimum. 10%. That basically puts a 10% marketing budget on the acquisition of a new customer. Ultimately, we would want to get that to 5%. And then as far as investment goes, I see so many owners making, or billing out $1 million a year in revenue and then spending like $20,000 or $10,000 on marketing. You absolutely have to spend at least 5% of your revenue on growth. If you look at any major company in the world, 100%, if you look at their financial statements, guaranteed they're spending a lot of money on marketing. If you don't invest in growth, you are going to get swallowed by these new corporate practices who are coming to take over the market. So I cannot stress the importance of you focusing on growth. Now, the keys to success here are pretty simple. You have to follow my sequence in the order I've given it to you. So, go through the steps, go through the workbook, do all of the exercises, show me that you actually care about growing. Don't just say that you care about growing. Actually take the time to do what I tell you, and I promise you will grow. That's why I've put in a $100,000 money back guarantee. Trust me, this shit works. Don't ignore it. Please don't cut the corners. I've structured this training in a very, very specific way, and it's very, very important that you do this in order without cutting any corners, especially when it comes to training your staff. Never cut corners on when it comes to, especially a receptionist. Your receptionist is the most important person at your office. So treat them well, train them well, give them bonuses when they do well. Don't hire the cheapest receptionist you can. I would pay as much money as you can for the best reception possible. I cannot stress to you how important the phone and reception, that really is the lifeblood of your business. As far as being cheap goes and expenses, you have to understand where you want to invest money and where you don't. What I would say is be careful hiring the big box marketing companies. Anytime a marketing company promises to get you, a ton of new patients or do all sorts of work for, a couple $100 or whatever, chances are you're going to waste your money on a one-year contract where you get zero results and you just don't see any return on investment. So I would strongly encourage you to not be cheap and to make sure you hire a boutique marketing company who actually cares whether you succeed. You're not just a number to them. And then finally, the most important thing is I would say never, ever, ever sacrifice quality when it comes to the experience you're crafting for your customers. So, just think about the difference between flying first class and economy. You definitely want to provide a first class experience. Now, I want to go back to the first slide again. You need to change your mindset, and the time is now. I cannot stress how competitive the next 5 years of being a dentist is. And if you don't pay attention to this right now, you will get beat by the market. There's just too many dentists competing. There's a lot of information out there, so dentists are becoming more aware of how important it is to offer a great customer experience, to invest in the best equipment, to have financing plans in place, to have insurance in place. If you don't start making changes now, like a year from now is too late. It's just going to get super, super competitive, and you just have to get ahead of it. It's the only way to do it. Corporate practices are going to impact your business. It's just a fact of life. Again, you just want to make sure you get ahead of that before they get too big. Your costs are going to increase. This is, an inevitability of running a business in today's day and age. So you really just want to make sure that you're smart with how you spend your money, and you need to understand how to increase your revenue and decrease your expenses to become more profitable. And buyers are always going to be more picky. I mean, I don't know about you, but most of my friends, I'm 30 years old at the time of filming this video, most of my friends are working 60 to 80 hours a week. That is not how it used to be, from the best of my understanding, 20, 30 years ago. So buyers only have select amount of time, right? So if they can save 5 or 10 minutes finding a dental office who's super close to where they're located, they might just do that. So the way consumers make decisions are changing, and it's really, really important that you're able to communicate why a buyer, for example, should take that extra 5 minutes or that extra 10 minutes to come see you instead of your competitor a few blocks away. So it's really, really important that you go through the process that I've outlined for you, that you embrace change. Don't be resistant to change. Be excited to embrace change, because you really have a unique opportunity to grow your business for you and your family over the next few years here. Now, what I wanted to do is I wanted to create what I call the Ballin self-critique pyramid. So depending on where you are at in life and with your practice, you're going to want to kind of determine or identify where you are at on this pyramid so that you know what steps you need to make. So what we'll start is, let's just start by you self-identifying. So I want you to answer right now how you're doing with profitability. Would you say that you have some money struggles? Are you money conscious? Are you pretty comfortable, or are you rolling in it? So right now, obviously, if you're in steps 3 and 4, you're doing really well. And if you're doing well, it's time to invest in growth as well as assess the results. And then you're always, once you get to greater than $5 million in revenue, it's time to really expand and optimize. Now, if you're struggling, if you're doing less than 500K in revenue, then you really got to dedicate yourself to growing and focusing on some of the things we've talked about in this presentation, as well as you have to download my workbook, go through all the exercises, and really commit to making some positive changes. If you're somewhere between 500,000 and $1 million, it's time to implement all of the changes and execute the things we're talking about, especially in the workbook, before you start investing in actual marketing. Another way to look at this is to look at how many new patients you're getting every month. So if you're only getting a few, you got to dedicate yourself. If you're getting some, you got to implement systems better. If you're getting lots already, you want to pour gasoline on the fire, continue to invest and assess your marketing. And if you're getting a ton of new patients, you got to expand your business, right? So this is, the self-critique pyramid. If you are in stages 3 or 4, I might be able to help you with some of the services I offer, because it's time to invest. So let's go talk a little bit about what I do. So what I do is I work with really awesome dental practices who are really focused on providing an amazing customer experience, and who work in urban cities or major markets. So the strategies I deploy are basically helping businesses drive more targeted traffic to a conversion-focused website. I got started doing this for my parents. It was a very organic start for me. As I continued to learn about the corruption and the bullshit amongst different digital marketing companies that dentists hire, I decided to just create my own company that was much better. To date, we've helped generate, I would say, probably $50+ million in lifetime value, easily $25 million in actual value. And I've only worked with, I only have about 20 practices who I actually manage their marketing for every month. So we do some really, really good work. My customers see an average of $46 to $1 back in lifetime return on investment. My customers see an average of $4 to $1 in short-term return on investment. And 100% of our customers get first page ranking sometime during the second year, no matter what market you're in. Our SEO technician is off the chart. So if if once we complete an audit and we determine it makes sense for you to drive traffic to your conversion focused website, we're going to deploy some really awesome strategies. I have an 88% retention rate, so most of the people we work with stick with us because we are your partners in growth. As you can see with this training, my customers have a very clear indication of how many leads we're giving them, and they report back to me how many new patients they're getting. We work together on some of the training and things like that to make sure the sales funnel is always optimized. And as you can imagine, when you focus on the right sequence, it's really, really easy to see a really high return on investment. I want to talk to you a little bit about one of my customers who signed up at the time of this recording just under a year ago, about 11 months ago. The practice is called Markham Dental. It's in Markham, Ontario, which is just outside a major city, Toronto. And the founder of that business, Claudia, is actually a hygienist. So she's someone who doesn't have an ego. She understands that it was a bit of a risk opening up her own dental practice as a hygienist and having dentists work for her. But she's a really good case study because she acknowledged that she didn't really know what she was doing when it came to growing her practice, and she kind of let me take control of how she should be doing things. And I gotta say, it makes me feel even better to see someone like Claudia put as much faith in me as she has and seeing the results. So I actually just I checked in with her to get her latest results. So she got started with a 2-month marketing trial with me. It was a promotion I was running at the time. In the first 2 months, we were able to generate, I think, somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000 worth of revenue. So even though my average customer sees about $4 to 1 back, she was seeing 6 or 7, so that's very possible. But since then, she has actually not only signed up for a paid account, but also increased her budget up to $6,000 per month in marketing. Over the course of the 11 months, she's gotten over 400 new patients, which works out to about 38 new patients per month. I just did the math. This is on a 1-month spend, so not even the short-term value. But her average patient is spending about $414 during the first month. So this number is actually probably a few hundred higher if you take over the first year. But that gives her a $2.60 return on every $1 spent, so 2.6 to 1 short-term return on investment. In the last 11 months, she has spent $66,000, so this is actually over 11 months. In that time, she's received 425 new patients. We have estimated conservatively that the average value of a new patient at her practice is about $10,000, which works out to about $4.25 million of expected lifetime value or lifetime revenue, which puts her return on investment to $66 to 1. So that's actually a typo there. It's $66 to 1 lifetime return on investment. Now, if you want me to help you, you have to first and foremost, you have to have an awesome sales funnel. So, there's only so much I can do when it comes to driving leads to your business. But if I'm able to get you 50 leads a month and you're able to turn only 10 of those or 5 of those into new patients, you got to work on the things we talked about in this presentation and what you're going to learn in the workbook a little bit more. But if you are a general cosmetic and restorative dentist, so if you basically run a multi-focus practice where you can get lots of different types of patients, you can do a lot of things in-house, then you might be a good fit. If you are in a city with a good search volume or a high search volume, then I can definitely help you. If you have an amazing product and service and you're focused on being a high-end provider, not a low-cost provider, then you would fall into my bucket of who I can help. If you have the various components of your sales funnel identified and systems in place to track the results, then I can definitely help you. And if you don't, you definitely have to download my workbook and go through that process. It's really, really important. If on average, so you're going to learn some of these numbers after you complete the workbook, but if on average a new patient in your business is worth more than $5,000 and the short-term value of a new patient, so the amount on average a patient spends within the first year, is higher than $250, then you're a good candidate for me to help you. You should be happy with $2 back for every $1 invested for the first year. So for example, if your marketing budget is $100,000 in the first year and you generate $200,000 in revenue that year, you should be happy. You should also be happy with a $16 to 1 lifetime return on investment. If you're not happy with these numbers, it just means you have an unrealistic expectation of how much you should be paying for a customer and how much money you should be generating in the short term and the lifetime. And it's just not a good match. I'm all about managing expectations and having honest communication. So if you're not happy with these numbers, then you and I probably won't make a good fit. Finally, I have a minimum investment of $3,000 per month. So if you're just getting started with your business and you're not quite ready to get to, so that works out to roughly $600,000 or more a year in revenue. So if you're not able to invest 5% of your budget into marketing and you're not generating about 600 grand a year or more, then what you want to do is you want to focus on following the workbook and improving your referrals and reviews before you start spending money on outside marketing. And then, of course, I can't compete against myself. I'm too good. So we only work with one dentist in each area. So obviously, if I already have a customer in your area, I wouldn't be able to help you. So those are the different things I offer. As I mentioned, there is no catch or there are two catches. One is I might ask to work or to have a meeting with you if I think I can help you. Two is I want all of you guys to download the workbook, implement the different activities, and then once you're at a stage where you think I can help you kind of pour gasoline on the fire, reach out to me. But that's really all for this presentation. So the next steps are pretty simple. Fill out the form to get access to the next stage of training. So right now it's free. In the future, at the time I'm recording this video, it's free. Depending on the feedback I get, I might start charging people money for this virtual training. You really have to go through the workbook and do all of the exercises. You need to know what short-term value is, what lifetime value is, what short-term return on investment are, lifetime return on investment, go through the branding documentation. If you skip any of these steps, you're just not going to get a return on investment, and you also won't be qualified for my $10,000 100 by 10 money back guarantee. So just make sure you do all of that stuff and submit it to me. If you do have $3,000 a month in marketing budget and you run a good business and it's time to start pouring some gasoline on the fire, then reach out to me. I'll perform a website analysis, keyword research, SEO ranking report with my growth team, and we'll see if we think we can help you substantially. Again, I have no interest in working with you if I don't think I can deliver at least a $46 to 1 return on investment, because I'm trying to get my averages up. And at the time I'm recording this might change, but I'm going to be offering a free 1-month marketing trial. So this is a no strings attached marketing trial. Basically what it is you pay for whatever money you want to spend on Google AdWords. So let's say you have a $2,000 Google AdWords budget. You would pay the $2,000 to Google, but there would be no setup fees, no management fees, and we'll give you some free SEO. So that's all for this recording. I'm going to cut back to the camera view here, and we'll finish up this video in the next couple minutes. What's up, dentists? Welcome back to the camera view. First of all, I want to thank you so much for sticking around to the end and investing time in yourself to grow. The ones who are still here are going to be the ones who are making the most money. If you found that video helpful and you understand now why my parents and my customers are making millions of dollars in addition to what they were making because of this process and this system, what I want you to do is I want you to start implementing some of the tactics that I can teach you to help you take your business to the next level. So what I want you to do is I want you to fill out the form on this webpage here and submit your information and then download the workbook. And then I want you to spend as many hours as you need. It's probably going to take you a few hours going through all of the different exercises in the workbook and any kind of corresponding video training that I offer. What it's going to do is it's going to give you a game plan on how you can take your business to the next level. And then along the way, what I want you to do is I want you to email me all of the exercises as you do them so that I can hold you accountable. What you will find is if you do what I tell you to do for the next 6 months, you will see at least $100,000 worth of value. And as you know by the presentation, $100,000 worth of value, it might be 10 more patients in your business if the average value of a new patient is $10,000. I might help you eliminate some of the marketing money that you're spending, which isn't worth spending right now. So there's lots of ways for me to provide you $100,000 worth of value. And if you want to take advantage of that, you have to fill out the form, you have to get the workbook, and you have to invest time in yourself to complete all of the exercises. So that's all I wanted to share with you in this video. Thanks again for sticking around. If you know other dentists who could benefit from this type of marketing or this type of theory, please feel free to pass my contact information and this website along to them. Hopefully they're not dentists who you directly compete with, because my job is to help you first. But if you know dentists in other markets, pass this video along. I want to help as many dentists as I can, and together we can beat out the corporate dentists. So thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you in the workbook after you fill out your contact information.